What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Goddess Z, and I'm here with another podcast episode. I'm super, super excited to be here because I've got some exciting news to share with you guys, as well as an exciting guest. But first and foremost, I want to say welcome back. If you're coming back to the podcast and you're listening again and tuning in, I definitely appreciate you. The podcast is growing, Holistic and Spiritual AF community is growing, and that is all because of you. And I appreciate each and every one of you. And if this is your first time at this podcast, be sure to hit that subscribe button if you're on YouTube, hit that follow if you're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any of the podcast platforms. Be sure to follow me if you're into holistic wellness, metaphysics, ancestral wisdom, spirituality, and just the whole mind, body, spirit integration. Because as I always say at the beginning of every podcast episode, if either one of those are out of balance, then we are out of balance. And so that's what this podcast is all about. I have guests come on here and they share their expertise and their wisdom in those different subjects. And we just talk about applicable ways that we can kind of live and, begin to live from the inside out. Okay. All right. So if you know me, I got to get my business out of the way. But as you can see, we're on a new platform, really exciting. So we got a lot of visuals if you're watching this on YouTube. And we also will have all this information down in the description, as well as the information for my guests today. Okay. So, first and foremost, you can find me all over social media at Holistic and Spiritual AF, and that's Ann spelled out. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Substack, Medium, TikTok for the time being. Fingers crossed on that one. But you'll always be able to find me all over at Holistic and Spiritual AF. And of course, you can Google me as well. And also, if you're listening to this podcast, or if you want to know which is the preferred platform for you, this podcast is available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and syndicated out to a variety of different platforms. And of course, I'm hosting this on Podbean. So if you're on Podbean, definitely you can find me over there first. Okay. Let's see. Let's talk about some good news coming up. Currently, just started recently doing live guided meditations, which is going very well. I was doing that on TikTok as well as YouTube. So you could check out some of the recorded meditations over there at Holistic and Spiritual AF, and it's going really well, and the community is definitely growing as a result of that. So if you're into that type of thing, check it out over there. Some exciting news coming up. I've got the Reclaim Your Roots, Connect with Your Ancestors Masterclass. That's going to be next week on Wednesday, January the 22nd at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is a virtual class. You can get that information from Eventbrite. And currently, we have lots of ladies signing up, men signing up. So I'm really excited because it's going to be a nice, intimate group of us, but it will be some interaction from us for us to be able to kind of share our stories and our experiences. So if that sounds like you, be sure to check that out. That's coming up. I'll be having classes every other month. So definitely stay connected to me in any of those different places. Let's see, one more thing before I get out of here and into my guests. Holistic and spiritual af.com. Be on the lookout for that because that's coming real soon. Like I said, we're growing. I'm super excited. 2025 is the year of transformation. And I started with the podcast first, and now it's kind of evolving into the business. So we're going to have guided meditations over there, live meditation sessions, spiritual consultations, Reiki classes, all sorts of classes. Some of them will be master classes that are pre recorded, some will be live. So definitely be on the lookout for holistic and spiritual af.com coming very soon. All right. So that is a whole lot of good news at the beginning of the year, and I'm super excited about that. And today, I'm super excited about today's guest. Okay. Today's guest is going to be Tammie Lyons. She is the owner of RLP Holistic Wellness LLC. And she's going to be sharing with us today her personal journey of transformation and how that led her to become a certified breathwork facilitator, CMT, RYT, Reiki practitioner, EFT practitioner, sound healer, forgiveness coach, and empowerment speaker. I'm just going to say, I'm going to say a healer, because she's all of that. Okay. And today we're going to be talking about how she discovered meditation, breath work, and yoga during a life changing rehab experience. She realized that those holistic tools were the key to true healing. And now she helps women, men, and the youth break free from self judgment, embrace their authentic selves, and cultivate deep self love. So, we're talking about all kinds of things in this episode: the power of holistic healing, breaking cycles of self judgment, embracing self acceptance, breath breath work, Reiki, sound healing, and the power of forgiveness. So you definitely want to tap into this episode. She was definitely an honor to have her on the show, and she was a joy to speak with and converse with. And we definitely had, once again, that spirit to spirit connection, sister spirits, and we just kind of like clicked and we talked like for a long time before and after the podcast. So definitely tune in and listen to the podcast all the way to the end. Be sure to share this podcast if you feel that there's others that will resonate with this. And without further ado, let's get into it. All right, perfect, perfect. So thank you so much, Tamala, for joining me today. I am super excited to have you on the podcast. I know we've been talking a little bit before we got started, and I know that my guests are really going to enjoy meeting you. I want to know how this journey started. So you're the owner of RLP Holistic Wellness LLC. You are well rounded in a variety of topics and discussions when it comes to wellness, breathing, mindfulness, meditation, qigong, kundalini. I mean, the list goes on and on. So you definitely live in this, and you're also helping to empower other people in wellness as well. So tell me how this journey got started for you.
Oh, wow. It actually started December 15th of 2015 when I checked myself into a holistic rehab.
So,
My journey began years ago when I began using drugs to what I what I would say is was assisting me in another challenging area. Of course, that challenging area that put me in a place of using, I found out what it actually was. And now I can deal with it better. But, I went to a place called River Source in Mesa, Arizona. And after checking myself in, I went blind in my left eye. So for 7 days, I just had to sit with myself. I couldn't walk because I couldn't see, and my equilibrium was so thrown off. So for 7 days, I laid in a bed. And the first day that I could see, I remember running down the hallway. I was so excited that I could actually see.
yeah.
And that was my first day doing a meditation where I met this little old man. He was a yogi. And he said, to love oneself is the beginning of a lifelong romance. Oscar Wilde. And I was like, this light went off in my head first. Who is Oscar Wilde and how does he know that I don't love myself?
Mm,
Then I went through all of these things in just one moment. It was like this man had a light shining on him and the room was black and that he was just talking to me. But really, he was talking to like 8 women. And it all began there. I learned about yoga, meditation, sound healing. And I personally, yoga wasn't my jam at first. So I was like, I'm going to try this meditation thing and breathing. We're going to see how this works for me. And I kept doing it. And that was as of December 15th of last year, that was 9 years ago. And fast forwarding, I met the love of my life. And, you know, he joined me and my mom on this journey. And my mom came back to Maryland and she came home and she's like, I want to move to Maryland. I was like, okay, let's move. So then we get here where my mom's from. And like a lot of different things happened. It was
mhm.
kind of cool. Like I started learning about stuff and learning about me, and then learning about, as some people call it, the woo woo. But I love the woo woo. Let me tell you,
Mhm.
the woo woo has saved my life and helped me through a lot.
Yes. I love it. You know what? Oh my God. Like I was like, oh, when you soon as you described your story, I was like, oh, I mean, I don't know if you've listened to some of my other podcast episodes, but I talk about my journey and how I started. And I started quite a bit back ago, about 20 years ago, but it was the same. My life was headed in self-destruction fast. I was self-medicating with alcohol. I ended up in a position where I was in a rehab facility, and
Mm.
I had got introduced to meditation and yoga and those things. And I would, so when you said that, I was like, there's the connection, like we were talking about earlier.
There is.
And I'm so happy that you shared that. And I'm so happy that you were open and truthful about that, because there's a lot of people who resonate on that level. Not necessarily everybody, but there's a lot of people who are definitely struggling with that lack of self love that you described,
Mhm.
and looking for the peace that these modalities that you bring and that you've been practicing for all of these years brings and gives. And that's the same thing it did for me. And the path is individual for everybody. So it's going to take you in woo woo and all kinds of places and everything else in between. And whatever it is for you, that is your journey. And I love that. So I absolutely adore that. And I love the fact that your mom jumped in and said, hey, I want to do this too, you know? And you met the love of your life, and so that's beautiful. I love it. So tell me a little bit more about, like, maybe some of the woo woo that you got into. Like, tell me about the woo woo.
The fun woo woo. So it that actually started even when that was the thing that I was talking about that actually set me for this wild whirlwind. When I so at the youngest age I can remember was like 5 that I experienced the we'll call it the other side of the veil, and trying to explain it to people and get them to understand what I was experiencing. That was very hard. They think that, oh, there's something wrong with my child, or somebody tells them there's something wrong with your child because that's not normal. That's not normal that your child sees things that other people don't see.
And you know, the crazy
uh,
thing about that is most kids use their imagination very, and it's very vivid and strong for them at that age. So I hate that they tried to shut that down for you.
yeah, and I met this girl when I was in high school. Her mom read playing cards,
Mm,
and she read tarot cards and things like that, and she taught me how to read tarot cards. And I remember I told her, I said, I really want to learn more, but I think that my parents are going to shun me, so I need something else. And she said, oh, let me show you. So she showed me how to read playing cards. And my experience was more and more of the thing that I was advised was not right. That was things that this doesn't happen to anybody. And, that wasn't just from my parents, that was from other family members, that was from friends, that was from their parents, that was from teachers, that nobody sees these. So, in my quest to be the normal kid versus the weird kid, I started using. My first experience, everything shut off.
mm, yeah,
And so then I went to harder drugs, and then it shut off for days, weeks, months.
yeah,
So then I felt normal.
yeah. And and the thing is that's, yeah. I'm loving the fact that you're sharing that much about it, but it can be so damaging. And I know people don't know what they're doing by shutting down these natural gifts and abilities. And I know that's by design. And what is normal? Like, what is normal? What is anybody's normal? There is no such thing as really normal. Like, everybody, I think, is unique. And I think that's amazing, though. But I also think that it was necessary. And I know that for me, sometimes I had some experiences when I was under the influence of certain things that was like, honey, knowing what I know
Mm-hmm.
now, it actually put me in a state where I was able to cross dimensions and veils and things like that much
Yes.
easier than the so-called normal barrier that we put around ourselves. Now, I'm not saying that's the
Yes.
way to do it. I'm just saying that there is a way to do it the right way.
There
And
is, yes.
well, if
There's
we
a
don't shut
healthier
it
way.
down, I'm not propagating
Yes.
that, just so somebody, read it and shut off the podcast right now. But I do know for a fact I had some very deep experiences. And
Mhm.
most of them were particularly at the point when I felt like giving up on the life.
Mhm.
And then it was like something, and I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for those
Mhm.
experiences. I'm grateful for the whole thing because being on this other side and having these different practices and living life today to the fullest, you know what I'm saying? Not
Yes.
withholding aspects of myself, but
Yes.
integrating those pieces and recognizing that the darkness is a part of the light. So,
Yes.
you went through your journey, which some people would be like, "Oh, that's horrible." Like how, but no, it was a
No,
part of the journey, you
I
know?
really, for me, and I tell people, I'm grateful for
Mhm.
that part of my life. It was, don't get it twisted. It was hard and it was rough. And the reason why it was so easy for me to continue to be in that space for 18 years is because no one ever realized,
Mm.
I,
You were that
there's
weird, huh? No, I'm joking.
no, seriously, I was actually, and it's so funny that we're doing this, but I was doing a podcast episode with a friend of 30 years. And she said to me in that podcast that I never knew that you had a problem. She said,
Mm.
because you were always helping everybody else.
Mm.
And I said to her, we talked about it, I said, wow. She goes, the drug addict and the healer.
Right. You know what?
And
And
so,
the healer has to go through those harder paths in order to be able to help other people.
and that's where you get that wounded healer. Like we
Yep.
hear about the wounded healer. The wounded healer has gone through life, has experienced different things in their life. And some of these things would have taken out a lot of people. But
Mhm.
you see that they continue to move through and they continue to see that, okay, life is life and it's my reaction to life lifing. So I find myself now in this spaces. It is my reaction to life lifing. Life,
Mhm.
guess what? Life is going to do what life is going to do. Yet,
Always.
if I react in a positive manner, I'm not saying, guess what? It's always going to be positive. No, but I'm in a place of, I know me. So I know the beauty and the light side of me, but I also, like you were saying, know the dark side of me. Both of them are a part of me, and I love both sides. I love the experience that I've had because
That's right.
look at where we are now.
Exactly. And it makes you uniquely qualified to be able to help somebody who is going through pain. Nobody wants to hear about your solution if you haven't been through anything, and that's why healers go through what they go through. And there's probably somebody that's going to be listening to this podcast. Actually, I know there will be somebody listening to this specific episode because that's how the universe works, that's going to get some hope because they've been feeling and thinking things on the inside, but they don't hear anything about this on social media. And so
Mhm.
that's why I like the podcast because we go deeper into all of healing, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything in between, and
Mhm.
how we are able to navigate and get on the other side. I don't, most of my healer friends have all been through some shit. Like,
Right?
there's not a single one
Right?
out there that has it that I know of, like, that's really doing this work. But how
Right?
how do you navigate that pain? What tools do you use in order to be able to get to the other side? And so I love that. So when you got out and you started, and you told me about the woo woo, like the meditation, talk to me about that. Like, tell me, because that was my very first intro to any of this. So talk
It
to me
took
about
me
your
three
meditation.
years. It took me 3 years to get past being able to meditate longer than 5 minutes
It's okay.
because
You kept going.
my mind was always like the blah blah blah. And then someone said to me, "That's part of it." And I was like, "Wait a minute. What do you mean? Tell me about this." I'm a strong believer that I can learn from anyone. I will always be able to learn from anyone. I don't care who you are. You can be a man, woman, whatever, on the street, and you tell me something and it hits home for me. To me, that was divine. That I needed to hear that and I needed to learn that, whatever it was. And they said, in my culture. So I started when I was in rehab, finished rehab, and then I started practicing Nichiren Buddhism.
Mm,
So I'd go to like temple and go to people's homes and we'd be chanting and stuff. And a woman said, in my culture, there's six there's six senses, and the sixth sense is your mind. So when I do a meditation and when I even teach meditation, I bring it back to the mind. So if you're someone that, because it's this big misconception that you have to clear all of your thoughts and get all that done, but I bring you back to your mind, but then in turn bring you back to your breath.
mm.
Because yes, you're going to have the thoughts rolling in. Acknowledge them and just give them a smile. Hey, I see you. It's like a 2-year-old. Hey, I see you. And then come back to your breath. Breathe in, breathe out.
Yeah.
And so that's how it, like the experience was wild.
I love that. I love how you said it took you 3 years to get to 5 minutes. And like she said, it's the practice. I don't think we ever master meditation, or any of this stuff. There is no perfect, necessary, um, way of doing this. Yeah, I mean, so I just love that because meditation, like I said, again, was such a major part of my growth. So tell me, like, when did you get to the place where you're practicing it, you're applying it, having benefits in your life? When did you decide that you wanted to start sharing this gift with other people?
Well, I'll be open. I didn't feel, because we're all in that space. We're all growing the growth journey, right? Well, I was in a space that self love was a big challenge for me.
Hmm.
So when the thought of teaching a class, like, like that wasn't something I was like, oh no, that's something I'm not going to do. But we moved to Maryland in 2020. And when we got here, because of the vid, the whole country shut down. And so we spent some time in hotels and then we found our house. And it was really, I started doing some life coaching with a friend that became a life coach. And she's like, hey, do you want to be one of my test subjects? I was like, sure. So we went through this process and she's like, well, what do you want to do? I was like, I want to help people. So I never got past I want to help people. That was always, I want to help people. That's the way that I was when I was a child. That's the way that it's always been through my life. I want to help people. So that's what I told her. And she's like, well, what do you want to help people do? I was like, well, I want to help them be happy. That's what I want. I want to help people be happy. And she's like, okay, I don't, okay, you do you, Tammie. So, so she encouraged me to start a business. So when RLP started, it was RLP healing. And my husband does macrame plant hangers, custom. And so that's what we started with. And I started with my back soak and everything. And 3 days after I launched, I dropped my husband off at work and I was at a red light and I had my dog with me and I was talking to the dog because I was so excited. I'm going to go home. I'm going to hop on and I'm going to do all the things on the Facebook page. And the light turned green and I began to go across to get to the other side. And I was smashed on the driver's side of my car. Um, and then she set my car spinning down the way
Wow.
that I was not going. I hit the third car in the row that was waiting, like she should have done on the other side. And what stopped me was a pole.
Wow.
And so my leg was stuck. My leg got crushed in it, and I was just off my legs for like 8 weeks. So I'm sitting on the couch and I'm flipping through my phone. I'm doing the doom scroll because I'm sad, depressed about
Right.
what happened. That was a
Self-pity.
new car. Yep, I was feeling all the feels. And this woman comes up and she's talking about Reiki, and I'm all okay, that whatever. So I scroll on, and I went to another platform, and here is this woman again talking about Reiki, and I'm all okay. I'm gonna turn on the TV. And then in the show I was watching, they brought up energy healing. So then I was like, what is energy healing? And it brought up Reiki.
I
So
love the journey, this the seeker's journey.
my mom has always told me since I was a kid, if you see it 3 times, if you hear it 3 times, answer the door and stop just letting the person knock at the door. So I was like, okay. And so I tell my husband, I'm like, okay, dude, I saw this woman. She teaches Reiki, Yasui Reiki. I want to learn Reiki. He said, okay, what you going to do with it? I said, I don't know. He said, well, whatever you want. And he was like, here's the cash, pay for it, paid for the class, did the class, became a certified Reiki level 1.
Yay.
And that was in 2021. And I, wow, it's been like a crazy experience since then. I started doing Reiki sessions with people. Then it came to, hey, you should continue your practice. So I do that. Then all of a sudden, here comes this regression therapy, hypnotherapy class. Hey, there's this. And then came forgiveness life coaching, trauma informed life coaching, and, you know, Kundalini Reiki and EFT tapping and all of these different things, meditation master coach, all of these different things came into my life. And I told my husband, I said, I need to take these classes. He said, okay, you ready to go back to college? I said, I guess so. Because that's what I basically did. Like, I'll be open. I have a degree in culinary arts.
Oh, I love it. That's a
Like,
good
I
one
have
to
a,
have. It's good to know you can
like,
cook. Maybe we'll meet one day in person. I will remember
right?
that.
I do women's retreats. So,
Oh, nice.
just throwing that out there. But like, I have a degree in culinary arts. Um, that wasn't where I was, when I started college, where my life was going to go. But so I went back to like college. I took all of these different courses, um, from an array of people, array of teachers, array of educators. And I always thought, well, I don't know what this is going to do for me or what I'm supposed to do with it, but they came into my life for a reason.
Hmm.
They knock on the door, you answer. That's what you have to do. You have to answer. And if you answer, it will all come to you. You're going to feel like you're crazy at first. You're going to feel like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I'm going. You're going to get it. You're going to get it. You're not meant to get it right now, but you'll essentially get it. What I ended up realizing is the forgiveness life coaching. Guess what? I needed to forgive myself
That's right.
for my previous past life actions. And that's what I ended up doing. And then I came to realize that a part of my stuff was to empower other people and help people see that it starts with you. It really does. It starts with you. As I fill up my own cup, that right there, my overflow fills up the cup of my family, of my
That's
partner,
right.
of my children. Like, I don't have kids, but like, if you have kids, it's like it fills
Yeah.
it up.
Your
Even
eggs.
strangers, when you love yourself, people see it. I tell people the only competition I have is me, not because I'm being cocky. It's just that if I only see myself as competition, I'm going to continue to do my number one goal where all of this started, To love oneself is the beginning of a lifelong romance. My goal was to be better than who I was the day before.
I
The
love it.
only person that will force me to be better than who I was is me. So I love people. I want to I want to have people in my life. I want to support other people. Oh, I got on my
Uh,
soapbox. I
No,
can get
that
on
was
that
good. I love it. It was
podcast.
I love it. It was so authentic. It was raw and it was real. And I love how you explained, hey, I'm going to tell you a different part of the journey. Like the journey continues. The journey is we're always ever evolving and ever growing. And that's the beautiful part about a spiritual journey. I love that. And I love you talking about the seeker's journey. That's what I say. That's all you got to do is ask the universe, hey, I want to know about something. They're like, oh, really? No problem. We'll make sure that those signs and those messages and those people are right there in front of you. And if you can't get that, like, it's like so obvious. And so I love it, and even though it sucked that you got into a car wreck, it may have been the thing that was like, okay, maybe you need to sit down for a little bit, and you're not, you're not deceased. You will be able to walk again, and it sucks you don't have your car, but this is like such a major part of your purpose and your life that we really want you to kind of get this message. And so you get into Reiki, and I love Reiki. I always will because that's everybody's beginning. It's like everybody's meditation and Reiki, and then pew, everybody starts to go off like on this journey because I do believe that those symbols truly do like activate certain things inside of us that's necessary for the individual, and then we go off on our journey, and I love it. And then of course with you having that healer and that servant heart of always wanting to help people and and willing to do the work. I'm always talking about that. None of this happens by chance. We don't just open our eyes and it's like, oh, I'm like that. You get if the thing that may happen instantaneously for people is that awakening of, hey, I wonder what this is about. And that's about the only thing that'll happen overnight. Once you do that,
Mhm.
you're headed on a journey. You're going on a journey, and the journey is going to be for the rest of your life. For
I
the rest
always
of your life.
I always tease about this. I don't like there's a cartoon on Nickelodeon and I don't even know if it's still on there. And the little cartoons, they're like, we're going on a trip in our favorite rocket ship,
Oh, the backyardigans.
going through the sky, little
My
eyed
girls used to watch that.
spy.
It's the
And
backyardigans.
I truly, truly believe that that's what it's like with the Reiki and stuff because I was mad at this woman that hit me. Okay.
Yeah.
Like if looks could kill, okay, I'm
Yeah.
gonna be honest. But then I came to a space, yet I came to a space of realization that in that moment, what happened when she hit me? At the point in time that she hit me, I was telling my dog, I said, I'm going to go home and I'm going to find or see if I got any orders. I'm going to touch up the website with the plant hangers and my soak and my oil. And this is what I'm going to do. And then boom, this woman hit me. And I realized that that was because there was more that I was meant to do. You
Yeah.
see, I always said I want to help people, but I came to a point where I realized that in Nichiren Buddhism, they say this thing called your human revolution, experiencing your own human revolution.
Mhm.
And I came to the realization that I want to help people was just really like, it was a cop out because what do you want to
Yes.
help people do? Well, I want to help people achieve their own human revolution. Well, what the heck is that? That's finding clarity. That's getting to know themselves. Because, like you said, Goddess B, you said the meditation. That meditation, how are you going to know you got to know yourself.
You got to.
It starts
You
with
got to.
you.
You're right. And then on top of that, and I think about that all the time, and I actually did a video, I think on TikTok or somewhere, where I said that. I'm like, it's time to get the knowledge of self, guys. Like, you have to know who you are on such an intimate level that nobody else can tell you anything that you don't know about yourself already. And, it requires work, it requires discovery and that seeker's journey before we're able to go out and start doing things for other people. We got to know
Mhm.
ourselves. Like, how can you help somebody navigate? Through the journey, their own path and their own journey, if you can't say, oh, yeah, you may be sensing this. You may have these types of sensations. This experience could be like this. I mean, it really is. I think the healer's journey, it's a lot of work.
Yes, it
But,
is.
we signed up for this. It is clearly within my DNA. I know that because when I started massage therapy, it was like riding a bike. Like I just jumped on in it. Like I had been doing this for a couple of lifetimes, and I was a natural at it. And other people were trying to do the mechanics of it, which is all good. But me, it was like immediately when I started working with my healing guides and they started preparing me for the healer's journey on an energy healing level, because that's a major part of what I do.
Mhm.
And then I got into Reiki so I could like know what the heck how to apply this. Just having
Right.
this thing here and you don't know how to use it. So some of those kinds of things are very important for us to be able to say, oh, this is what it feels like, this is how it feels
Mhm.
for me, and then really becoming to awaken that intuition of your own. And yeah, it's an amazing journey. I tell people all the
It
time, don't cheat yourself on this, man. This stuff is so amazing. And who you'll
right?
become, like, what you'll find out about yourself. It's just like, yeah, no cheat codes.
And
Literally
that's the
just in
one
writing.
thing I tell when I do my classes, the one thing that I try to teach my students is guess what? You can learn from anyone. So I tell people,
Yeah.
I'm honored for you to take my class, but I encourage you to take other classes. Like, because
Yeah.
I'm not the end all be all. You know what? Like, what I feel, what I teach, yes, I teach from like what you're supposed to know. But then it's that experience, it's like going to a therapist for addiction or alcoholism and they've never experienced it.
Right.
And then you're having this discussion with them and they're giving you these empty, open, like responses because they don't know what it
Right.
is to experience it. And so I get people are like, why you shouldn't tell that part. Why not?
Right.
Why not? What you're going to get is this. You're going to get my authentic self. This
Yep.
morning when I woke up and took a shower at 4:30 in the morning, guess what? I took a shower so I could put pajamas back on. So I could put pajamas on, okay? like
And,
like that's
and that's what made you who you are today, you know?
yeah,
Yeah, that's what made you who you are today, the whole journey. Like, if one chunk was out, or I used to think, if my life was that damn normal again. If
right.
my life was like hers, and if, look, she's getting married and they're buying a house and I should be further along now, and all of this crazy crap that'll just so mess you up, from the actual individual journey. So and showing up as your authentic self is a superpower. I tell people that all the time.
Right.
That's one of
And
the
a
most
lot
powerful things you can do.
yes, and so many people are stuck in that idea of being normal.
Mhm.
So they tell you that society tells us, oh, you should be married and have kids by this age. You should have the home by this age. You should have the dream job. You should have all of these things by this age. Well, what about those people that don't want kids or don't or
Yeah.
can't have children? Like I personally cannot have children.
Yeah.
And but for me, I love being the auntie. Like I'm the cool auntie. I've got the tattoos and the piercings. My nieces and nephews love it. They think it's the coolest thing in the world.
I love it.
But like, you know what I mean? It wasn't part of my journey, but I am in a space where I let people know, hey, your journey is your journey. And the biggest part that can help you get to that space is knowing who the S you are.
Yes. Yes. Yay. Jazz
No,
hands.
know who the spirit
You
fingers.
could have said it. You could have said it, by the way.
Oh, Well, know
Yes,
who the fuck
holistic.
you are. That's what
There
it
you
is.
are. You
Know who the
got it,
fuck you
girl.
are.
That's that authenticity peeping through. And plus, we're like 30 minutes into the podcast. I'm joking.
Well, like,
No, it's all good. Be you.
oh, I'm like, oh, that felt good. I was like, I was holding that in.
Yeah, yeah, it sounded a little inauthentic. Like, no, I'm joking. No, that's great. And you're so right. And I hope that somebody hears that and it just taps into them. Like, yeah, because it does really feel good to show up as you are,
Mhm.
and still teachable. That's another thing.
Oh,
I don't know everything. Damn sure don't know everything. I'm still learning things, and I'm actually going on another journey. Like I said, the journey never quits. I've been doing it long enough to know, hey, we're not done yet. So now I'm
right?
going on a different phase of the journey for myself. That's like more metaphysical and kind of returning back to my cosmic ancestors, and I love that too because I have my bloodline lineage ancestors, and they ain't going nowhere. They're still there. They've guided me
Mhm.
to a certain point now where we are ascending to higher levels of understanding, which is ironically, I was there at the very beginning. That's what's crazy because I went from meditation, yoga, crystals to metaphysics. Like, wow, I just like jumped deep into it. And then I was doing everything. I was like going over here to Wicca and I wanted to do this and nature. And I just grabbing all these books and I just was like, soaking it all in. And, got
Yes.
about 10 years in there. And I was like, I'm feeling called to my African roots. I was like, what the heck is that about? And I ended up going down the ancestry path. And I was like, wow, that was such a beautiful experience just to find out that my ancestors and spirit guides have been there all the way since I was a little girl. So I was able to kind of actively have a conscious relationship with them, realize
Yes.
like, hey, they've been there. It's like I'm just reactivating this thing that I've known, kind of dibble dabbled in some herbalism and some other things. And now it's like all of that. And it's like, well, now it's time for you to get deeper understanding into that metaphysical, especially now. And I was like, wow, man. I was like, well, I've learned to be obedient and to go with the flow and not fight what's happening. So I love it. I love your journey and I appreciate you sharing it with us. And I want to talk a little bit about your book because I know you're an author and I'm excited about this. Tell me about your book.
Oh, wow. To love oneself is the beginning of a lifelong romance, let me tell you.
Yes.
Um, it is Mindfulness for Beginners, a handbook of nurturing presence. And it is my first self published book on Amazon. And it has a baby sister, which is a
Mm,
journal. And it is the same Mindfulness for Beginners, a journal for nurturing presence. And I personally recommend getting the two together because you've got this book and people are going to be like, what? This is a very short book. And it is. It's a mini book because I personally, I have ADHD. And let me tell you, I've had some books that I've loved in my life, but it took me 2, 3 years to read them because I start reading and 5 pages in, oh look, what's that? Oh, I have to do this. I have to. So I was like, you know what? Let's get straight to the point. Here it is. This is what this is what I know. This is my experience. This is what this is. And what actually encouraged the shorter book was the book Who Moved My Cheese. And
hmm.
if you've never read it, oh, it is so like that's how I feel about that book. Like you open the book and it's like the sky opens up, the lights come down. It's a beautiful book and it teaches you a different way of change. But my book takes you through the process of mindfulness. And in my journey, I have learned that being mindful not only helps you in your healing growth journey, but
Hmm.
also helps you in other spaces. So, like your relationship, your work, life, just all of it all together. And it's just being mindful. And so, one thing that's a big misconception people feel, oh, I need to clear my mind, meditation, blah, blah, blah. No, you can do mindfulness meditation, yet the practice of mindfulness, you can actually Actually, one thing that you can do is you can catch me on YouTube because I actually have RLP Holistic Wellness Loving You on Purpose. I have multiple playlists and multiple meditations on there, but one of them is a mindful shower meditation.
Mm,
And even if you just listen to it and do the meditation sitting in the bed or, in the seated position, but then I encourage people to next, when you take your shower, use these these things that are brought to you in the meditation in your shower. So the soap. What does the soap or the body wash smell like? What does the
mm,
washcloth feel like? Bring all your awareness to your senses. What are you
mm.
feeling? What are you tasting? What are you seeing? What are you smelling? What are you hearing? Even all the way down to what are you thinking? Are you in that moment in the shower? You can do this with meditation, comes in many forms. You can do mindful meditation when you're walking.
Yeah.
What do you hear? What do you see? The colors. And you'll be so surprised how beautiful things look when you are looking at it mindfully.
Oh, I love that. That's so true. And it helps us to stay in the present moment. I mean, really, that is the practice because, you
Exactly.
know, and I love that because when you were describing the shower, I'm like, most of us are not, myself included, that mindful in the shower. Sometimes I do because I do like spiritual cleanses and stuff like that. That's when I'm mindful.
Mm-hmm.
But when you do tap into your thoughts, there's some crazy stuff in there.
Right?
It's some
Right?
crazy stuff in there, so it's really good to kind of like once again get to know yourself on that level, the
Mm-hmm.
types of things that you're thinking about, the types of things that we're saying to ourselves. So I love that. And and you're also on Insight Timer, right?
Yes.
I'm excited. I was so excited to see that on your website. I'm going to put your website back up here so you guys make sure you're following her on her website, on her social media, on Insight Timer. And for those of you who don't know what Insight Timer is a platform that has all sorts of different types of things on
Right?
there: yoga, qigong, meditation. They have a lot of free resources on there as well as
Mm-hmm.
light paid type stuff too. So definitely and check her out over there. And I'm going to be on there very soon because I
Oh,
am, getting my meditation practitioner certification and accreditation, which is wild because like I said, I've been doing this. So like why I
right?
decided to just get that, I don't know. Like I said, my spirit guides and ancestors were like, "Hey, I just want you to focus on meditation right now and bringing that to the people." And I was like, well, really? I was like, but I know how to. They was like, this is what we want you to do because this is where we are. We want to go back to the basics and we want to go to the foundation. It's not necessarily the basics as much as the foundation. Like, no matter
Yes.
where you are on your journey, no matter if you're just beginning or if you're really advanced, there should always be
Mm-hmm.
practice of mindfulness and meditation
Yes.
in there because that's how we keep connected. I think that's how we keep
Yes.
it. And I love
And
you talking about the
yeah,
mindfulness like in the shower and stuff because it gives it like bite-size attainable goals, 5 minutes here.
that's it. And that's all I tell people. One thing is that you have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
What I recommend is try 3 minutes a day. If you're someone struggling with meditation, just 3 minutes, 3 minutes a day. And then it's going to expand. You can do 3 minutes. I did less than 5 minutes for 3 years. And now I can meditate. I meditate in the morning. I get up super early, so nobody's up at 4 o'clock in the morning but me. But it's
I
silent
heard
and
that.
quiet. And so I love slow mornings. So I get up, I'm meditating. I can go for 2 hours. I can go for 2.5 hours and just really feeling the feels, mindfulness, bringing you present into the now. That's really important in your journey and grounding. Something that we don't talk about a lot because our minds are all over the place. We are so far into the future. We are so far into the past. The only space we are not in is the now. And that's where the program that I created called Reclaiming Your Power comes
Hmm.
in. I have it in two forms. I have it in a 90-day form, but I also offer virtual classes to help people really tap in with themselves. You know, it assists people in grounding, awakening, and empowerment. I can't say it enough. When you really begin to truly look at yourself and you connect with yourself, things change.
Yep.
When you start knowing who the fuck you are, things change.
Yep.
I, I got to a space where I stopped having to ask people to see me, see me,
Yes.
see me. It
Read
doesn't
me.
matter if they do.
Give me a reading. And then just to get the information that you already knew. It's like, that was the lesson. You already have it inside of you.
It's all you already know. And then here comes spirit guides. You know what I mean? Ancestors.
Yep.
You know it. You know
Yeah,
it.
they're like, when are you gonna realize that you know this stuff? Like, and that was my thing for a long time. And then also not trusting myself, but that was my stuff that I had to work on. So I love it. I love everything that you're doing. And you just talked a little bit about the services that you provide. Tell
Hmm.
me a little bit about just whatever you want to talk about that it is that you do to help people, because now you're like, you're in it. You- you're now on the other side of the facilitator side, plus doing your
Well,
own stuff.
oh, yes, and I really do love it. So the program that I started, I talked about, it's a blend because of the different things that I've gotten in love with. I am a holistic healing practitioner and a women's empowerment coach, as well as a self-love speaker. And even though I did not love the yoga, I am a registered yoga teacher
Okay.
and and a self-published author. And I do my sessions, virtual or even in person, consist of a blend of meditation, breath work, sound healing. I do a Kundalini and Yin yoga combo, as well as shadow work. Shadow work is my jam.
Oh
Um,
yeah, always going down.
right? It's all ooh, and it's going down with the shadow work. But I do a women's 90-day journey. It's called Reclaiming Your Inner Power. Sorry, fellas, I know what you're thinking. What about the fellas? But it guess what? I'll say it, and maybe the ladies may hate me. Fellas, it ain't nothing. It's right. It feels right when you're with a woman that knows herself.
That's right.
And being with a woman that knows herself, being with a woman that's connected with herself, and then encourages you to connect with yourself. And then you guys are both doing the damn thing and you're moving forward, you're going places together. it
Yeah.
starts it starts with us. And as women, so like I'll throw it out here. Ladies, you know what? We are the limo drivers, we are the therapists, we are the doctors, we are the lovers, the creators, even we even feed a child
Hmm.
for like what, up to 3 years after their birth. So like women, you are powerful. You are powerful. And it's time
Absolutely.
that some of some of the ladies that sometimes get stuck in this space where they don't see who they are, remember, you are much stronger, much more powerful than anybody has told you.
That's right.
Remember, you can create a child,
In
you
your
know,
body.
in your body
In your
and then
body.
feed them just from yourself for
Yeah,
3 years.
absolutely. And I love that rise of the divine feminine, the divine mother goddess, because her power is being rightfully and respectfully restored to her.
Yeah.
And that's where the healing on this planet is going to come from. Women are going
Mhm.
to be shining on a tremendous level, but for some of them to need that empowerment is not surprising at all. and the patriarchal society that we've been living in.
Hmm.
Not that we don't need our divine masculine either. We need the balance, but right now we definitely need a lot more divine feminine energy for the
And
planet,
that's where,
and that's where we are.
yes, that is where we are. And that's where the Kundalini comes in.
Yep.
So, like, Kundalini energy is a divine feminine energy. You know, we have that masculine and that divine, we have the divine masculine, we have the divine femme in all of us, men
Hmm.
and women. But with women, most of us were stuck in the hyper masculine energy, that
Yeah.
survival mode.
Yes, that was me. Definitely. And and I think people get that twisted a little bit because it's like, oh, you look feminine, you act feminine. But I was a widow and I had to raise two daughters, by myself for a while. So everything was on me. And I was also healing generational trauma. So I didn't have a lot of familial support at the time. We're on the other side of
Mhm.
that. We're rebuilding that. I'm grateful. But it was just me. Like I had to get things done. I didn't get remarried. So it was a lot of, I got to take care of it. I got to be this, the
Mhm.
mom and the dad. And I think sometimes people think that women choose that. Sometimes that is the way it is for them, and then you end up
Mhm.
assimilating to this role of, hey, I'm used to taking care of shit and getting it done and,
Mhm.
not dependent on a man, that I wish I had somebody to help me pay these bills. Like I used to say that all the time. Like, I wish I had somebody help me pay these bills, but if I wanted to get it done, I knew that I was going to have to do it. And so there's a lot of us that have been placed in that position for a variety of different reasons. But I also know how to tap into certain divine feminine practices, whereas some people may not know how to do that. So I love that you're out here doing this work because we need it. We absolutely need it. And it has been an honor and a pleasure to have you on this podcast. I know my guests are going to love you. You definitely bring something unique to the table and sharing your journey. And tell us how we can find you on social media.
Oh my goodness. You guys can find me on TikTok under RLP Healing Tammie. But if TikTok goes somewhere else, you guys can find me on Instagram on RLP Healing Tammie. I'm on Facebook as well, RLP Holistic Wellness LLC. Um, I'm like, where else am I? Ooh,
I
I'm
know. I'm
also
like, she's
I'm
all
also
over the
on
place.
YouTube.
I hope I spelled it right.
Yes, that's it.
I don't
Yes.
know what RLP Healing Tammy, and then of course you're on the website as well, so that people can
Yes.
like find you, yeah, over there as
And you
well.
can
So,
find me on YouTube,
oh yeah,
RLP Holistic Wellness Loving You on Purpose. Because guess what? You got to love you on purpose.
that's
Love
right.
you on purpose first.
Everything starts with us first. I tell
Yes.
people that all the time. The chosen ones choose themselves first. People think it's like
Mm-hmm.
some divine order. No, you got to change. You got to choose you
Yes.
first in order for you to be able to help other
Yes.
people and extend that outward. And you also have a podcast too, right?
Yes.
I'm like, wait a minute, how are you on a podcast leaving the podcast out?
Because I've got to be open. Let me be open. So I've changed the podcast name. And so to talk about it, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. What is the name of my new podcast? It is, and it's
Under
because,
construction.
yeah, it's because it's new. It's RLP is healing.
Okay.
And that's because it is. Because for people that don't know, RLP is my last name. So the R is my mom's maiden last name. The L is my maiden last name, also as well as my mother's last name. And then the P is my married name, my husband's last name.
Awesome. Yeah, I was just getting ready to ask you that. So great. You stole that right out of my mind. And I love that you incorporated your mom's maiden name in there, because that taps into the divine mother goddess.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking the other day about that because in order for us to tap into that divine mother goddess energy, we have to heal the relationships with our moms. And that was
Yeah.
such huge breakthrough for me. So yeah, so I love the fact that you incorporated her and you and him, and that's where we get the RLP from, guys. So
Yes.
Tammie, it has been a pleasure and an honor. I thank you so much again. I cannot wait to, we're doing our thing on the 11th. So I know this
Yeah.
podcast will probably air after that, but that's okay. You guys make sure that you're keeping up with her so that any of the next classes, yeah. Yep, we got you. RLP Holistic Wellness.com. And yeah, thanks again. And until the next episode, guys, peace.